It's A250. I do need to get my audio in. Now, be warned, people. You don't really want phones right up against your head 24/7, so you may not want. I think the iPods aren't the best for you. I've heard, but you know, what do I know? The next thing, if you ever cracked your screen, you know what to do. I went out and spent $30. $30 on a screen, right? On a screen, yeah. It's not bad, right? And the phone, maybe it's $1,000. I reckon I can repair it. Screen's not completely wrecked on the other one, but it's slowly getting worse. And, I'll let you know how that goes. You know, I've got a few tools and everything how to do it. So I may do a how-to video, but I don't think me watching a how-to video, creating a how-to video is going to go down the best. The next thing will be air conditioner on the car. Some stuff. Now, that's not what you're here for, most likely. But I thought I'd introduce that. It's not where I am at currently. The price, on the other hand, is looking pretty decent. You know, there hasn't been the absolute murdering death candles. I did see somewhere on Twitter some insane like, I don't even know what sort of candle it was. The numbers were like too large. It's making the rounds as well. If you're noticing on Twitter, things to do with Pulsechain are being listed correctly. Hurrah! On some, not CoinMarketCap, what are they called? Market cap aggregator sites. And CoinStats and CoinGecko is one of them. And funnily enough, it's listed INC as not over here. Everyone to peruse. Hopefully the audio is okay, but yeah, I just literally saw a stream whereby people are losing their minds with a mystery logo. Lol. Anyway, not that. Definitely not that. I don't know why I've got two different instances, but one is different to the other. So it's not here. And like I said, some things are being listed, you know, such as, this is a funny one, PulseX incentive token, INC. So instead of just being INC, they had to mention, you know, PulseX, the DEX on Pulsechain, and its incentive token. That's interesting because this we never saw, well, I don't remember seeing this in the Hexagon Day 250. We saw nothing but gatekeeping. I think it wasn't until later on Nomics came out and actually just tried something new, but Nomics is no longer available. Go figure. The next thing right now, I'll just double check if anyone is in here, because if you are, much appreciated. Did it update the titles? It did, yes, good. Now, also, I need to figure out, midstream, of course, as always, why it is that I cannot see the comments on my Twitter, because, sorry, on X, because I've noticed there is tends to be more outreach on X platform than on YouTube itself. So it's almost like it could get to the point where if I could actually see, all right, cool, it does work. All right, so comments are live on there, then restream. And then we'll go over to YouTube. Yeah, it's YouTube. It's still YouTube for the time being. And okay, so if you type test on X, it will appear on the restream as coming from Twitter. If you type it from restream itself, it will then appear as if you typed it in YouTube, which is interesting because I'll show you what I mean. It's interesting to see how it all flows, you know. So I typed restream into restream, and then I typed in X on X. And so what you see on YouTube, you can't get, I can't currently get the comments from YouTube to show the comments displaying on from Hex, but on Restream it does appear. So Restream might almost be the best place because that's actually pulling data from both YouTube and X, and I can see both comments, whereas the comments displaying on YouTube in that particular chat will appear on Restream. If someone gets the chance, if you could just put like a test in the chat, that would be good. Just to see what's happening, would be appreciated. If not, I'll continue on. Okay, so just we'll have a look. So the next thing, if you're in the crypto space, now the crypto space involves BlackRock. And BlackRock is ousting MicroStrategy as the largest BTC holder. It is a matter of when, not if, ETF expert says. So they haven't hit them yet, but maybe it gets close. And it's just a weird position to be in when we're seeing huge amounts of turnover. And I think there was a recent stream on X in terms of here, just in BlackRock now holds 16,361 BTC, worth over $707 million for their spot Bitcoin ETF. Now, doesn't the Satoshi wallet hold 1 million? I can't remember. It's like, so 1/21th. All Bitcoin is held in that, and how much has been lost, etc., etc. Again, thank you for tuning in. If you're in here, if you could put just a test in the chat, whatever platform you're on. I'm just trying to gauge what's pulling from where, but you don't have to. It's all good. Now the next thing is that's a lot of Bitcoin, yeah. But BlackRock is coming for everyone apparently. In terms of how much was that? 707 million. 707 million in best spot. So there's a sacrifice wallet that has wasn't it 1 billion worth of stables? I'm not sure what it is. It's more than BlackRock. I mean, that's kind of breaking news, right? It's kind of newsworthy if you are following that, which I'm kind of looking vaguely. I haven't even got the addresses of all the sacrifice wallets, so I'm going off X, which is sometimes can be worrisome, but we've got community notes now, so that's all good. But it's just interesting to be alive in 2024 when BlackRock is now, openly saying it's good for them to be obtaining more BTC. I think I read somewhere else that people are using fiat to buy something that produces and gives them more fiat. It's like, at what part of this process did they actually purchase physical BTC? I don't think they did, I don't think they did, but what do I know? But keep in mind, there's different products such as Bitcoin itself, the asset, the real world asset, I guess you would call it that, the ETF, and also things like futures. Now, just remember futures because I'll get to that in a minute, right? But this is basically regurgitation from here, FX Street. You'll see this quite often in, I find this interesting when you're going through. There'll be one release, and then it will then, like I said, like I was doing with the comments, it's like, where is it actually coming from? Where's the source of it? Now, some of the chat dropped off on X. That's interesting. Now, from there, what you will see is a news article like FX Street, but then it appears on something like My Trade, but the actual article was here. This was the source, the source of information, the source media release. I don't know what you want to call it, but that's what it is. Now I'll turn this fan off as well, because it's interesting to know that as well, because quite often people look, there's over 5 articles here that's all from the same article, but the reporters either put their own twist on it or just completely almost copy pasted. So I could then put out a web page and say, look, there's a BlackRock ousting MicroStrategy as large BTC holder. It's a matter of when, not if, ETF expert says. usually you have to actually read what it's saying. It does help, but I won't be doing that just at the moment. For now, it's just the headline clickbaity shit. I'll read that out loud. There's more to it. Have a look into it, what's going on, and what you are actually buying. More relevant to crypto in the Pulsechain ecosphere, like I said, I think Ivan Tech may have broken it first, but we see Gecko Terminal as part of CoinGecko is listing Pulsechain properly as well. Now we saw this here. Shout out to these Mexicans who found this, Boschko, INC token, PulseX, INC token, and also Costa, Hex.com investor, this is how I came to see it. It is saying that, Pulsechain is number 5. It's actually the gatekeeping is gatekeeping is failing, is falling, which is good. It's day 50, 250. That's good. Not even a year old yet, and we do have some very, very high level individual eyeballs on Hex, Pulsechain, and PulseX. I would imagine, and the founder of Hex worldwide. What do they say? Any publicity is good publicity, right? Now, what we got? I like this, this meme. Elon cut 90% of his Twitter staff and is still working fine. Maybe we should try that with the government next? I don't know. Maybe crypto will help us bring about that? I don't know. Apparently there's something about Elon and X, something to do with money transmitter licenses in the works. I'll have to dig through Twitter to find it. Maybe it's in my likes, not sure. But we may see. This will say I'm going to take, I think, broke it first. And then let's see some buyers. Cannot see it. Yeah. Time to tell your boss to fuck off. No, I'm actually being approached by both management firms, and I'm looking for part-time casual roles as opposed to full-time. Although full-time, the money pays okay, especially for a starting rate. But yeah, like I said, I came out with some funny CV words to impress others about Uber Eats. It's pretty hilarious. If you type into ChatGPT, you bring up some pretty decent results, man. I think ChatGPT AI chat generation is going to be very useful in the future for things like that. For people who can actually use that, because it makes life a bit easier. Now, where was I? Couldn't find it. I'll ever so briefly have a look. BlackRock now is trying to get more BTC. I'll keep looking. I'll put this particular tweet up and point out that you can literally, if you want to, short Hex on some particular outlets, and yeah, do so at your peril. Now, I think he was sort of saying it in the word in jest, like not he's not trying to make like enemies who want to take a hit out on him. He's just sort of saying haters, people that dislike the token, you probably are already in crypto yourself, and maybe come check out this stuff. But if you really want it, you don't like, you hate it that much, maybe go and short it from a platform that was forked from an ERC20 and it's brought over to Pulsechain. Maybe bring out some discovery of Pulsechain. Damn you. Mumbling. Now, Elon to change, was it X? Money transmitter license, I think it was. News. 23 hours ago. I guess I'll pull that up. So this is another thing I'm noticing. I'm not sure why, but I think I'm going to present it to you all. Basically, price doing well. You see SAC wallets coming in. We see issues with related agencies. We see INC being listed on coin market cap aggregators. We see BlackRock buying more BTC. We see that same media outlet being regurgitated, like in a nice way, reproduced, copied on other platforms. Goes on to explain daily volumes up so far, 500 million for the newborn 9, which is healthy, about the same pattern drop off as BITO, which is again the most successful organic launch in ETF history. Okay, after all the fuckery that took place with the SEC's Twitter account and them potentially, allegedly, reportedly manipulating the price of Bitcoin itself through either a personal account on a social media platform or on behalf of the business and its communications. I'm not sure which one it is, but after that did take place, prices moved. Simple as that. Now it goes on to explain here, IBIT keeping lead to be one of the most likely to overtake GBTC as liquidity king. And I'm pretty sure IBIT, iShares, iShares, so they tend to be correlated to, I think it is BlackRock iShares. Now you may not be familiar with that, because if you go to BlackRock here, iShares, I hate when I do that. I hate when you click on something and then you want to click on the other thing and it's like, god damn it, why didn't I click on that thing? And I'll pull it up to show you what I am talking about, because access denied. So the access is denied on, that's okay, because I will just fucking move you over here. Sure. It's talking about for whatever reason. But yeah, it goes on to explain iShares.com.us. Look, access Bitcoin, oh my god, oh! Can't believe I'm seeing this product detail, learn more, search iShare funds, regions, This is your ETF platform, right? This is Bitcoin now, people. This is Bitcoin, and for some reason, okay, but I can access it here. Yeah, that makes heaps of sense. Okay, whatever. Now, it's probably their system now hoovering up all the information that I've been clicking on through my PC. It's now in its system. Now, this comes after Grayscale sent up 400 million worth of transactions to Coinbase Exchange, with all signs of pointing to customer redemptions. Okay, so pretty sure Coinbase has some issues of their own as well. I may cover that briefly. Cover that here. So we covered that. Elon reveals surprise. So this is what I was talking about before. Elon to reveal. Thank you. Yes. All right. Thank you, the pothead. The pothead. So what I can see is pothead, I'm assuming, commented on YouTube. It displays on Restream as saying it came from YouTube, but over on X it doesn't show anything. It's interesting, Alright, cool. So Restream is the aggregator, so to speak. Alright, so I'll just live in that ecosphere for a bit. Now, thank you for tuning in. Elon Musk reveals surprise. Crypto holdings as X plan to replace PayPal, Visa, and banks quietly accelerates amid Bitcoin price swings. So this is going to be interesting. What he's going to do now? Elon Musk, Tesla billionaire, owner of X, has played havoc with the price of Bitcoin in the cryptocurrencies in recent years. Doge, recently confirming wild rumors of a plot to replace PayPal. I'm pretty sure this is an old plot. He's bringing back from the days, resurrecting it. Bitcoin after surging to New Year on the back of BlackRock-led Wall Street crypto invasion. BlackRock-led Wall Street crypto invasion. Not even kidding that the thing that brought about the other thing that was supposed to overthrow that thing is now the thing that is trying to overthrow the thing. Capiche? Alright, so BlackRock-led Wall Street crypto invasion has stalled, with fears swirling the Federal Reserve could be about to trigger a crypto crash. Okay, now let's dig in to the Federal Reserve crypto crash. Is this when they lower rates? No. Excuse me, 100 billion Bitcoin and crypto ETF price crash suddenly accelerates after this. I'm trying to read shit and then you do this to me. What are you doing, Forbes? Back off. After serious Fed warning, hitting Ethereum, XRP, and Solana. What? 12th of Jan, so it's kind of old now. Top 10, blah, blah, blah. Price dropped 10% last 24 hours. Let's find what it's talking about. Warned the Federal Reserve could about to trigger a 30% price crash, predicting a vicious washout in coming months. Oh. I am preparing vicious washout for cryptos in March of this year. Hayes, the chief investment CIO of Family Office Maelstrom, the former chief executive of Bitcoin derivatives pioneer exchange BitMEX, wrote in a blog post. Okay. What if BitMEX was the one with the troll box? Now, I loaded up on crypto in the second half of 2023. Believe now until April was no trade in terms of additional risk. Now, I'm pretty sure this is before the ETF was approved. Could be wrong, but if it's 3-4 days old, this may have been printed just before the ETFs got rolled out, just after the hack. Just before the hack, sorry, and then after the hack, it got rolled out. Now, if you can keep up with that. However, he said expected the Bitcoin price explaining that due to the Federal Reserve restarting its money printer. Ooh, okay. When is the money printer coming back on? Well, keep in mind that some people have said some things, and it may or may not come true. There's a certain period of time that passes, and then usually after that time passes, we see the Fed's increased rates, something about after something recession. So amount of time, you have to look that up to actually be able to find that. And it may not be true. It may be true. Or also, on top of that, if you don't believe that, you have the 2024 election coming up. Maybe it might be a good political move for anyone in power, try and maintain power. And how would they do that? Maybe they would encourage, I don't know how they'll do it, but they would encourage or want some Fed cuts to take place leading into that particular presidential campaign. You'd most likely want it before, the actual date of the campaign, because it's sort of delayed by that 1 month. It cuts in like January. You won't see the cuts in your statement in your bank until February, when the banks pass it on to you. So yeah, what does that mean? Maybe there's October cuts, who knows? Maybe there's some earlier than that, who knows? Now, back to this article, as opposed to what I was thinking. Crash, blah, 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 22 trillion for Bitcoin wiped, etc., widely attributed to the Federal Reserve ramping up interest rates and reducing its balance sheet, burning money in response to soaring inflation that risked spiraling out of control. Pretty sure we've still got inflation, but it's not out of control now, it's just inflating. Okay, so the Bitcoin price rebounded sharply in 2000. We have picking up the pace. BlackRock-led Wall Street bid to bring a spot ETF to market. Nearly. See, this is before it rolled out and before the hack. Neared its culmination this week with the US SEC waving a raft of funds through. Okay, it's after. The approval of spot Bitcoin ETF is still sell the news event, but we believe it will be very shallow in the near term. CK Zhang, chief CIO of crypto hedge and fund ZX Squared Capital. If there is any material pullbacks in the Bitcoin price during the short term, we believe it will be a great opportunity to add. I'm telling you, the people within the Hexagon ecosphere would make amazing CIOs in relation to crypto, because the shit they talk about with their context that they can add to it would be so beneficial for the hedgies, because I'm not so sure the hedgies are up to date yet. They might be, they might not be. I'm sure they have researchers probably taking notes on every single stream that is out there within reason. Maybe it's something like the top 10,000 cryptos in existence. We have to know everything about them from their inception. No, nah, maybe not. But it wouldn't surprise me if a crypto hedge fund would be interested in understanding what some people understand and the thoughts that they share, and then researching what it is they are talking about. Now, moving on from that, so that was a bit of a puzzle for one to solve, it myself included, as to what is going on. But we have here the Coinbase. Now, this is what I was saying. Remember Coinbase, remember Ethereum as a future product. Now, Coinbase SEC clash faces first major test as judge weighs long shot dismissal. Now, this is more recent. The federal US judge will hear arguments about whether or not to toss the case based on legal arguments that the regulator was in the wrong when it sued the exchange. Now, I believe this is in reference to Coinbase, as you can see here. Coinbase is poised to argue with the SEC over whether its business model is violating US law. A federal judge in New York will hear a lengthy 4-hour oral arguments in the case. And the crypto industry will see further. We'll see whether her eventual decision about throwing out the SEC case will help or hurt its momentum against the regulator. Coinbase is about to make a case in a federal court, case document will be issued, that the US SEC is wrong about its legal arguments that the crypto exchange has been trading unregistered securities. What the New York... Now, I've been looking up how I lost weight in the shaker. I'm just pointing this out. I don't know why this ad's appearing. It's like trying to tell me something. I don't know, it's weird. Now, what the fuck is that? That's funny. Maybe it's CoinDesk thing. Okay, now, what the New York judge does next could have serious consequences for the wider industry's clashes with the regulator, because I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but it almost is coming to somewhat of a head whereby crypto, DeFi, and the like are being pitted up against people like, for some reason, the US Securities and Exchange Commission, primarily in the US, but it just doesn't feel like more freedoms are coming, and for some reason the SEC has been tasked with reducing your freedoms. This is my opinion. Could be right, could be wrong. I'll leave that for you to decide. But this battle for freedom, which is being experienced by multiple people across exchanges, across DeFi itself, is ongoing, to say the least. And I'll get to my point next. Now, what the New York judge does next could have serious consequences for the wider industry clashes with the regulator. The company has asked Judge Catherine Polk-Failure of the US District Court for the Southern District of New York to throw out the case, a long-shot request, but one that she may be taking very seriously. She booked 4 hours of back and forth with Coinbase and the SEC on Wednesday, an unusual depth of oral arguments for such a motion, which often tends to favor the government side in this kind of enforcement case, because I can't help but feel as if it's not that because it's government it's evil, but I can't help but feel that if you go back to the post here where we got rid of 90% of, did happen here? Let's replace this one. We replaced 90% of the employees of a platform, and it still works fine. Now, the figure might not be exact. Why is it that, why can't we get rid of 90% of government? Maybe, just maybe, it'll still work fine, right? This one here. Just maybe, I don't know. Maybe the SEC likes to give its lawyers to do something. They instruct its lawyers to gather as much data as possible, whether it be people streaming, whether it be pictures of Twitter accounts, whether it be emails that they've gathered through FISA. Who knows what could be taking place? I don't know. But that FISA is another story that I will kind of circle back to in a way, but relative to Australia. Now, it's frustrating because we see here that they had the 4 hour back and forth. And when government is suing people, they don't usually lose on summary judgment motions, said Patrick McCarthy, a financial consultant and former SEC lawyer who teaches crypto classes at Georgetown Law, but it's possible, very possible. Judge Failure could give significant momentum to either side when she rules on the motion. Probably not this week, but within the next couple of months. She'll either land in a camp of fellow SDNY judge Anisha Torres, who ruled also in summary judgment that the SEC strayed in some of its claims about XRC being a security in the case against Ripple Judge Jed Rakoff, who just gave the SEC a win in the case against Terraform Labs. Okay, so if you haven't been noticing, there is a lot of attention on crypto, and it is not, in my opinion, positive. It is being portrayed as SEC security, basically, in breaking the law. While this one pulls up, judge who gave Ripple an XRP hope. Now, I'm pretty sure this is the one from memory where they gave a certain ruling, however, they deemed it what was it? They deemed it that, now I could be wrong, that when they issued it, basically some laws were broken. And however, the actual trading of XRP from that point and thereon afterwards, it was not a security. So people could freely buy and sell it and trade it with each other, and they weren't trading securities. But when the company, and in that case, Ripple XRP is like an entity of employees, I don't know how to explain it better than that, and they were then explained as what they did as a company, with like a boss and employees. They broke the law when issuing at the very inception of the token. Is my understanding, so I could be wrong. And that's why people who are excited, they were given some clarity based on the ruling. Okay, we'll read it properly, right? So the Ripple violated federal law selling XRP directly to institutional clients because, XRP was the company, and they violated federal securities law. Did not do so by putting XRP on exchanges for retail customers to purchase. So this is the part. So there was the before, there was the pre, and the post, right? The post, institutional clients sales, everything's fine for retail investors, right? Now, that's probably as deep as I want to go into that one. Now, everyone covers that a lot better than I, but it is relevant because it brought it up in this particular article, and I thought, well, they're going to cite it, so I may as well have a look. Now, this one here, I wasn't so aware of. The SEC seeks to leverage Terraform winning Coinbase, Binance disputes. The agency contends last week that court rulings that offerings from Terraform were securities should help make its case in exchange traded unregistered securities. So basically, it is literally a battle against the SEC currently, but for some reason, Bitcoin has been given a green light. And Ethereum is the one I really want to touch on next, but this is sort of got me sidetracked a little bit. And it's worth listening to. Again, not legal advice, clearly not legal advice. You shouldn't listen to me at all. If you do, thank you. But my ramblings may have a message behind it. I hope it does anyway. This one here basically saying, I wasn't even aware of this, Terraform wins in Coinbase. We see here SEC has been blowing horn at various legal clashes with crypto exchanges, so it's going after exchanges, and also going after particular projects and products, tokens and like. Individuals, asking courts to see how recent win in Terraform Labs dispute should convince other judges that its regulator is right about its platforms like Coinbase and its trading on registered securities. So it's almost like it's complex because a win in one particular case can then sort of set the precedent or give the whatever side ammunition to explain, look why we're right, look why they're wrong, vice versa. It's clear that the SEC is going after all of crypto, all of DeFi, all of everyone's freedoms, everyone's ability to access the internet, basically, at this point in time, freely and openly, because SEC is claiming jurisdiction over freedom of speech, apparently, in the US in regards to cryptocurrency, which me watching from Australia is not good. We technically have political free speech here. However, I'll get to that in a minute because I've just gone on a little bit of a ramblings because I am learning as I'm going along here. Now, while the SEC has suffered a number of setbacks in crypto court cases, such as in its lawsuit against Ripple and Grayscale investments, etc., challenging the agency's spot Bitcoin exchange ETF application rejection. So we're keeping track here. We've got objections to several rulings in relation to Terra Labs. We have a mixed outcome in relation to XRP and Ripple, with some clarity given for retail traders, I guess you could call them, or retail holders of cryptocurrency. We have precedents set whereby large companies like XRP and Ripple, did actually issue to institutional investors, and it was deemed that they breached certain laws. But then after that, they were able to trade, and then the actual token itself was not deemed a security as such. But we then see SEC saying Coinbase is trading all of these securities on their platforms. So which one is it, SEC? Is it that the process by which Coinbase was formed, is that breaching the security laws? Or is it that you are actually trading securities? Now, if that is the case, logically, XRP and Ripple, well, XRP, the token, is not a security because as you previously mentioned, retail investors trading this, it was not breaching, SEC laws. The next question I have then, going on from that, is the Terra Labs. They won. So SEC had a win. Leverage Terraform win Coinbase. Binance disputes this. It says it explains that Terraform were securities. The agency contends last week court ruling that offerings from Terraform were securities. So that was a security. Terraform. I don't know what Terraform is. Thank you if you are watching this and putting up with this. Yeah, I'm just going through some three-letter agency thoughts based on the US policy, because SEC is trying to claim jurisdiction across the world in relation to freedom of speech, in relation to blockchain, and Terraform were securities. So we're up to now Terraform, because we've seen XRP and their business model Ripple, were issuing securities, but retail traders weren't trading securities illegally or at all. But then they're saying Coinbase is issuing and trading securities on their platform, I think is the argument, which is trying to say that everything but Bitcoin and XRP is not a security. I'll get to Ethereum next. Some words that have come from the SEC. We have here Terraform Labs dispute should convince other judges that regulators right about platforms like Coinbase trading unregistered securities, except for Bitcoin and XRP, apparently. Now, according to the logic that I'm using, while the SEC has suffered a number of setbacks in crypto court cases, such as lawsuits against Ripple and Grayscale investments, and also the actual agency's spot Bitcoin traded fund application rejection, however it's now approved, the regulator chalked up a victory last week in its contention that Terraform was improperly offering securities through its Terra Luna stablecoin, offering the Mirror protocol. Terra Luna, didn't they fucking go bust? Okay. Isn't that fucking Duquan? No? So Okay, so they're now comparing. Okay, what happened with? Let's have a look. What happened with that, right? So this part gets complex. Terra Luna scam. Guess you call it a scam. Collapse. I don't know. Fraud. There we go. That's the words I'm looking for. So let's have a look here, right? That's why I'm going. Hang on. You're fucking. You're okay. SEC is trying to protect people from fraud by deeming them after the fact the fraud took place. That and they're labeling it. I noticed they're labeling it as trying to educate people. That Terra founded a coin charged with fraud over its 40 billion crypto crash. The collapse of Terra was, an early sidestep into crypto's 2021 slide. But now, anyway, they're now saying, oh, but Terra did break the law according to SEC under their jurisdiction. Now, the weird thing about that is, like, clearly this criminal who committed actual crimes similar to the FTX founder, they literally committed crimes, right? They actually were charged. I think they're trying to find him or something, or trying to extradite, or if he's been extradited, I'm not sure. But if you have a look at this, right, and then they're comparing this Terra, like USDs, I'm assuming, saying, look, it's a security. Clearly, it's security. The judge is like, yeah, okay, this is security. We know this security. This guy's bad. So therefore, this person's bad, and they're almost lumping it all into one. Now, the frustrating thing is, so what about other tokens that don't have individuals who committed fraud, who committed crimes, that are comparable? That's kind of hard to explain because the tokens that are comparable, I don't think have collapsed. So why isn't, for instance, USDC or Tether? Why aren't they deemed securities? Are they not a stable token? That probably opens up a whole other can of worms, but that is what I'm trying to think through. Like, how come they're saying that the SEC's won against Terraform? I was like, yeah, but the dude committed mad crimes, like actual crimes, and now it's a win that the SEC said, oh yeah, they're definitely trading unregistered securities. But it says here basically, but then they're trying to use that as the argument as to why Coinbase and Binance are trading unregistered securities. So what is the answer, SEC? So the answer is what? You actually have, say for instance, Binance and Coinbase only trade Bitcoin and XRP. So they're the only ones that haven't been deemed a security at this point in time, as to my understanding. And the XRP one, Ripple one's very strange because like it was they broke the SEC securities laws, but then after it went past that phase and went into the post phase, that was okay because retail investors can trade it freely, so it's no longer a security. It's getting pretty convoluted, right? Now, Terraform was improperly offering securities, right? So this is what they're trying to say, that because if people, this is my thinking, they're trying to protect the, okay, I'm saying this when I'm true with a straight face. They're trying to protect the public. They're trying to protect the United States of America and its jurisdiction from being scammed after the scam has taken place. This is the logic. And they're using the fact that a scam took place and a criminal, where is it? This one, this charged with fraud, an actual criminal, and its inception, its token that he created, and how it came to be, breached the SEC laws. Okay, so stay with me. But and it's stablecoin. So they are all securities. They offered securities. But unlike, I could be wrong, maybe because their lawyers didn't point some other points out, but just briefly reading. So it's issued, it's a security, and that's why Coinbase, Binance, and other exchanges, are trading illegal securities according to SEC law. But yet the token itself, tied to Duquan and Terraform, is that token, when you trade it amongst each other, is that a security? As per the XRP ruling, it would be unlikely, or if not impossible, that it is, because it was issued, and the way it was issued was in breach of US securities law and their jurisdiction, is my understanding. Now, after that initial offering to institutional investors from business entities that, promised profits or gave some guidance and had a business plan on what is going to happen to individual investors, that is why the SEC is stepping in and go, look, you did this illegally, you weren't supposed to do this, bad. But under my understanding, again, not a lawyer, definitely not a lawyer in the US, if then those tokens, they're in existence and they're traded on centralized, decentralized exchanges alike, then they're not a security for retail investors. Anyone. Okay. So what are we trying to do here? We're trying to stop the next thing. We're trying to stop exchanges like Coinbase and Binance from illegally trading these illegal securities. Although, in the case of Ripple, the token itself being traded on these exchanges are not illegal securities. The illegal security violation breach of federal law under, Securities Exchange, US Securities Exchange in the US was because the way that it was offered, is my understanding. Business model sold to investors alike. Maybe there was promises given, I don't know. This is where my logic is currently sitting now. So then the next thing, okay, if you are able to keep up with all of that and all the paperwork, and currently what exchanges are subject to SEC filings, you would then be sitting back going, okay, hang on. Especially if you're in the US, in the outside the US, it doesn't matter so much, and the token contracts itself doesn't matter so much because it continues on. It's like trying to shut down the internet. I mean, you can put big giant firewalls up, but ultimately, unless you turn off the actual internet, the power that runs the internet, it would be very hard to do that. Now, we've got Starlink as well, So there's like EMP attacks and shit. There's actually a backup. We won't all go into darkness, be plunged into darkness by some evil conspiracy to take out and wipe out the internet, which would suck. That is on another train of thought, yeah. But if you think about it like that, you then have what? Okay, we've covered some stuff, some clarity, right? Some clarity issued by the SEC that basically, if you're deemed to have issued them illegally under securities law, bad, fines, etc. And then once the token is out then and traded between retail investors, not a security anymore. But then they're trying to say that Coinbase and Binance and all exchanges are illegally trading these securities. So hang on, you only said the issuance, the process, the issuance, the company, how they were saying it was that was the breaking of the law, right? Not the actual trading of the tokens. Why are you now saying that exchanges, centralized exchanges of all things, are now breaking securities violation law? What? I don't, and also I don't understand how I'm trying to support centralized exchanges at this point. I'm not trying to come across as like supporting centralized exchanges. I think everything should be done on chain. I think everything should be, code is law. If it's on chain, a lot of this fuckery wouldn't take place, because what happens when you put your shit into an exchange? You don't know what's going on because you can't see the on-chain data anymore. You can maybe if you're lucky, you get their wallets, and maybe you can track a wallet, see what it is doing. But your particular funds didn't didn't the US outlaw tumblers and outlaw they actually outlawed a smart contract called Tornado Cash? In essence, when you put your money into a centralized exchange, what is going on? Are you not tumbling your funds? Technically, you could be, because those funds that you sent in may or may not be the ones you're getting at. I don't know. I haven't seen the on-chain data. How can you prove this or deny this otherwise? Which is another interesting thing that I just thought of just then. Which is why I'm finding this particular battle from the SEC upon all of crypto to be a literal attack on everyone's freedom. Now, I didn't mean to go into all of that. I hate to talk about this stuff, especially live on stream, recorded, etc. Now, thank you, Mark Dwaynes. There is a war. So, just checking where this is coming from. So, sorry, I'm overlaying Twitter and YouTube together and aggregating it through Restream. I refresh. The comments saying it came from YouTube, but yet it's appearing on Restream, which is fascinating. Right, is what it is. Anyway, comment came through. There is a war on the new monetary system, and the SEC is working for the US to try and maintain their dominance. There's a war on the new monetary system. Yeah. It's a good comment. I like that comment. I'd have to unpack it a lot more and provide heaps and heaps and heaps of context for it to make more sense, but I don't disagree. Basically, my train of thought, now you could disagree because I'm not being clairvoyant here, but if, for instance, DeFi has come along, going back to DeFi, I discovered DeFi and I was like, nah, fuck this shit. Bitcoin, and I was like, fuck this shit, Ethereum. Or like, I initially thought the DeFi movement was different to crypto itself. And I'm like, hang on, this is something weird. Because when I first came across DeFi, quote unquote DeFi, my understanding of DeFi, it was endless rug pulls and random crypto farms that would either disappear, or they could be exploits, or they got hacked, or they tried to create some bullshit. Now, it wasn't until basically I didn't pay attention to DeFi from that point on. I had very little understanding about Ethereum and smart contracts, etc., except for I understood things to be built on top of it, and I was barely learning the terminology about dApps, let alone understanding decentralized exchanges, let alone understanding actual DeFi contracts being built on top of things like Ethereum. Now, moving forward a little bit, I then I don't know what changed me. Maybe it was the interaction with Hexkins and my learnings from that aspect of decentralized tokens that made me think differently, approach DeFi differently, because then I learned, oh, hang on, you have these contracts which are actually immutable, built, deployed, and no one can mess with them, and no one can rug pull them, and no one can do XYZ, which is bad, or XYZ, which is good, which that would never happen. I'm like, hang on, this DeFi, decentralized finance, actually makes sense. Then there was a whole lot of other things that have been forked over onto Pulsechain. Obviously I focus heavily on the Pulsechain ecosphere, the new L1 that were forked over that were already in existence. So a lot of the stuff I had been seeing on exchanges being rolled out, that was the equivalent of picking up the pennies in front of the freight trains. You would put your tokens on the exchanges, hoping they don't disappear, hopefully they don't rug pull, hopefully they don't get sued into oblivion by places like the SEC or whatever jurisdiction they fall under, or they get hacked, or they just decide not to give you your tokens anymore. Now, that was not DeFi, but then I saw some other things roll out whereby you would, provide your tokens through contract. You can see on chain what is going on. Actions would take place, etc., on chain, where you can see the decentralized finance nature aspect of it, I guess. Basically, I would call it yield earning, the ability to earn yield, the ability to earn interest through engaging with smart contracts that were, at the point in time that I never even bothered to check if they're audited or safe or otherwise. I was trusting, not verifying. That was my understanding of DeFi. Like, that was my secondary understanding of DeFi. My third understanding of DeFi, as it currently stands now, is basically, it is decentralized in nature. So L1s, which are decentralized, and the level of decentralized I'm now learning a lot better as well, because what I mean by that is some things on Ethereum, for example, are running through MetaMask. I think it's the Ethereum network, is hoovering up data on everyone. Is that a good thing? I'm not so sure that's good for decentralization. If there's an access, if there's a point in which everything is stored, that doesn't sound to be decentralized if all the information that runs through a network is stored in one particular node. Maybe that's not decentralized. You see a system like Pulsechain where all the validators are, there is a map and they're scattered all over the world. I would say they're decentralized in nature. They don't have some agreement whereby they all talk to each other. They call each other up and say, I'm going to do this if you do that. No, it's purely the actions of an individual coming together in a decentralized fashion. And then the finance aspect, I would say, is the interaction with code. Not interacting with centralized exchanges, which they explain. If you give me $1,000, I will give you $100 back in intervals, because of whatever agreement you agree to click on, and in the fine print it says you may lose all your shit, as people coming to experience with Celsius, Cryptopia, going back a bit further, and other exchanges that have gone offline basically or got hacked. Now that is not decentralized. So yeah, hopefully that was an okay explanation of decentralized finance. But moving on from that, where was I? Try and maintain their dominance. We live in concerning times, though, as well. There's a lot of, I'm not going to go into it, political uncertainty in terms of military might, to be frank. Like, once, when countries had no air defense, it was very easy to impose your will on them because you could carry out airstrikes at will. Now you see, and this is not to be like pro anti-US rhetoric here. This is, I think the US has done, they basically, in my opinion, the US was at one point almost the police force of the entire world. Now, for good reasons. But as well as saying that, there is things like the military-industrial complex. Maybe there's people who have evil, nefarious intentions upon the world. I don't know. But you see the state that the world is. If there is no police force, so to speak, globally, no presence, each country may be left to its own, its own sort of abilities to be able to attack or defend or otherwise. So what takes place now? We see weapons, hypersonics, things that can't be shot down. Maybe there's some super weapons we don't know about. Maybe there's some black budgets we don't know about, things being developed. That's why we see UFOs in the sky, things like that. But that's difficult to prove otherwise, right? Now, with the dominance of the this continuous dominance of the US, they're a financial powerhouse, simple as that. This is why it's so concerning for me, watching from Australia, see the US go after cryptocurrency and trying to use an iron fist to crush everything that is crypto related, and to point out that only certain things will be allowed and everything else could be banned. That is what the timeline that we're currently looking at here. Now, I don't think, I hope that everything doesn't get banned. Like, it can't get banned, it'll just move elsewhere where it's treated better. But I would hate to see the US give up its position in something like crypto, which could be life-changing for so many people, to the likes of, say, El Salvador, for example. I don't know. And some other countries around the world which are far more friendly toward crypto compared to the US for whatever reason. Now, maybe it's because they see cryptocurrency as a threat to the US dollar. I don't know. I highly doubt that, because the US dollar is not going anywhere no matter what people say. Otherwise, the purchasing power isn't great, but everyone needs, there's a shortage of US dollars. Everyone needs it to trade and transact. Although the BRICS are making their progress toward, getting rid of or circumventing the US dollar and the sanctions, quite frankly, that the US can place on the countries, which is almost irresponsible, because why would you want to deal with this? That's like, imagine if we engage with cryptocurrency, right? And then the flick of a switch, a founder could ban particular wallets and say, I don't like you because you called me a funny name, so I'm going to ban your wallet because I know what your wallet is. It would make you go, well, I'm not going to use your shit because there's other shit to use, right? And that appears to be what is taking place with some of the decisions being rolled out by the US regulators. I don't think it's the US people doing this. God, no. I think it's the people in power that are sort of projecting this for whatever reason. Like when you see things that take place in Australia, it's not, that usually makes news. Most of the time, it's not because of individuals doing XYZ. Half the time, it's because the government's decided to do something, When you see the next topic I'm going to cover, kind of ties into that. Now, it's very funny because cryptocurrency, I don't know, it did read as if, it's primarily targeting the US individuals for whatever reason. I'm not so sure that is true. How do I elaborate on that? So you're like, the SEC in the US is trying to tell me that only people in America use cryptocurrency. Okay. Like, is that, and because of that, they have total control over it, and they feel as if they want to crush and kill everything. I'm not so sure that's a thing. If they do, I don't think they completely understand that if they sort of try and kill off all of cryptocurrency under their jurisdiction, whilst allowing a Bitcoin ETF to flourish and thrive, funnily enough, and this is where the BlackRock thing comes in. So crypto bad, DeFi bad, anything related to Ethereum bad, but Bitcoin ETF extremely good, and hedge fund good. I'm not understanding this, because clearly it is an opportunity for individuals to get some sort of financial freedom, potentially through, I would say, DeFi, because if you try and, go up against BlackRock now and try and purchase some Bitcoin, how much is Bitcoin going to increase in value versus something like a new layer one, versus something like a certificate of deposit on the blockchain, versus, real DeFi platforms that allow you to do XYZ? If it's built properly on the blockchain and you can see what it is doing, it reduces the need for, an entire accounting system. Basically, accounting has transitioned from like journal entries, like manually written, although people can still do that, to computing software. And it's now the ability to read the computer software. So it's like, what do you think blockchain technology kind of is? It's like a big ass spreadsheet, like a really useful spreadsheet. And if you can read it, it's really good. And guess what? You can't hide shit on there. You can try, like you can send it to a million different addresses, but in the end, you can track and trace everything. Now, back to what I think the US is doing, and the comment relating to they're trying to wage war on the new monetary system. I think the CBDC is coming, already here most likely, and digital IDs are here. I actually unknowingly signed up to one to be able to do various things. I actually gave up, now I think about it, voice recognition, not biometrics. But I did create a digital ID to be able to do a tax return online, which you can't do here in Australia. And basically what that means is sometimes there's also a thing called, it's similar to social benefits or government pensions. If you owe money to your tax authority here in Australia, they have the ability to literally draw it out from your account with no objection, basically. And it's kind of, when I think about it, I'm like, that's kind of messed up, especially if they're wrong. There was a huge debacle here. Centrelink had an issue. They said that people owed the money, which is a government-run scheme, pensions-based, sorry, not pension-based, government income, I guess you'd call it. And they basically said, okay, you owe us this much money, we're taking this much money because we owe it. It later on turned out their systems were flawed and the calculations were flawed. It's like, meanwhile, you had to just submit to the computer system. God damn. Imagine when everyone has this ID. I actually already have one. I'm like smacking myself in the head. Why did I do this? But it's like, well, I did it because I wanted to access the systems, because the systems were easy to engage with. I didn't want to have to fill out manual forms, for example, in relation to when doing a tax return online. Now, where was it going? So basically, the digital ID could quite easily be tied to an ABN number, a tax file number here in Australia, a social security number in the US, and I think there's a equivalent for every single country within a certain I don't remember the name, but I used to have a sheet of them. Basically, every single foreign tax residency of which you reside in, you have a relevant tax identifier number. That's the one, a TIN. Now, the TIN is relevant to, here in Australia, it's a tax file number. US, it's social security, and some other countries that have different names. Some other countries don't issue them, or you have to actually go out and seek them. But yeah, anyway. And also, there's things like the J5 initiative, which I came to learn from other streamers, and this sort of network being rolled out may not, as you say, look favorable upon individuals from anywhere in the world. So I guess it could be some Russian spy or some Chinese spy that come in, some African spy that comes in and creates some magical blockchain and produces all this money, like a unicorn that farts out gold coins. Maybe the US doesn't like it or something, I don't know. But what if it's just a normal individual who creates something? Like I was making a stream yesterday about the Searle effect and infinite energy and all this shit. It's like, how come those systems aren't rolled out? It's like, well, because, there's a lot of money being made in energy sectors and there's whole companies built around it. So imagine if there is a legacy financial system and mortgage-backed securities everywhere and banks and hedge funds and lots of financial instruments, traditional financial instruments, loans, the whole credit market, the bond market, everything that backs the US dollar. What if all that, is subject to consumers, and the consumers need to consume? Personally, I'm of the opinion that I was not born to consume. Personally, I like to think that I was not, born into this world to consume and then to pay taxes. I honestly think that when people get together and when people create things that can provide you with freedom, it appears on the government radar, especially if it's large amounts of money. Now, the SEC has been apparently tasked with crushing cryptocurrency that is not Bitcoin ETFs or XRP, which has ties to many banks, although they don't actually use it. Although there is some blockchain technology in place, I think if you look it up, there's lots of pilot projects going on. There's even, I think, some mortgages, deeds, or the trading of it was being tracked using a blockchain. There was no token as such. Like, there didn't need to be a token. It's blockchain can exist without a token, yeah? But it's more fun when there's a token that goes up. Now, this is why I think when people create these things and they're not controlled by the the SEC or the US government. I'm not saying that Bitcoin or XRP is controlled by the US government. I'm just saying generally, that just happens to be coincidence that Bitcoin's all good. But then again, El Salvador's, it's like, oh, maybe it's controlled by El Salvador, lol. But if there's things like that can provide individuals with freedom, they tend to be shut down. Imagine if someone comes and goes, I've made a free energy, I've made a token that can just go up infinitely and create all this money and all this wealth. It's like, oh, okay, so then people in the oil industry are going to get shitty at the energy. People in the financial industry, regulatory bodies are going to get shitty. Like, where did this come from? What's going on? We don't like it. Or they'll come in and be like, we want fines. Carry on. Wouldn't surprise me at all. And we're going to, at the same time, instead of letting everyone everywhere sort of get financially free, free them from their shackles. No, we can't have that. We need to have them, continue to do the work of the slave through your 9 to 5, because you're free. You chose to be. You're not a slave. You agreed to sell your time for money, right? But yeah, we can't have you not doing that. We really need you at the office. So we got to cut down this crypto stuff. That's what it appears to be like, and I don't understand why. And this is why I think, for whatever reason, I've been put here by God, to put in this position by the creator, whatever you believe in, to try and figure out what is going on in this space, because a lot of weird stuff is going on. Like, I don't what's happening in Tintop? I think that's coming from YouTube. I don't understand fully why it is that this constant attack by the SEC is going on, when clearly there are some bad actors in the space and they've been proven to be breaking laws. But then there's ones that have created things with no expectations. It's made some people vastly wealthy, I would imagine. Based on what I'm seeing, it would be pretty hard to not be in profit. However, there were instances where you could not be in profit with some tokens. But is that not the case with a vast range of other tokens? Where was the SEC back in 2017-18 when all this other shit was going on? Was there even web pages dedicated to cryptocurrency? I went back into the Wayback Machine, to the local tax ATO body, and there was no reference since 2008, 2009. Moving on, there was no reference to cryptocurrency until maybe 2017, maybe. And it's just sort of grown, and no doubt there's going to be more sort of guidance here, there, and everywhere from the law, potentially. Now, I think it's a problem. I think the law does not keep up with technology. This always happens. I'm pretty sure we're seeing it with AI. People are saying we got to stop AI. It's going to overtake. It's going to overthrow us all. But the law doesn't know what to do with it. The law can't handle it. Like here in South Australia, we have like a court system that's just backed up, and they can't process shit in time. And there's just not enough manpower to go through all the court documents, which is funny, because imagine we're a tiny little country town. Imagine like a big ass country like the US. Imagine how much shit there would be in their system, clogging everything. And to add to this, they've been given free range to go after crypto. Like, I'm pretty sure that's not all the SEC does. Let's have a look what else SEC is on SEC's radar. How about that? Because all I keep hearing is crypto. Surely not, right? I heard at one stage it was put on the back burner because now they have to deal with it. On top of them being hacked. They're not an evil corporation, right? Look at this shit. JP Morgan to pay $18 million for violating whistleblower protection rule. They're paying a fine, yeah? Now, is JP Morgan in the spotlight saying, "Oh my god, did you know JP Morgan, the bank's gonna fail? Oh, we're gonna regulate these banks." He's like, "Hang on, the banks regulate up the fucking wazoo, right?" The JPM Morgan coin. And they got the head CEO guy saying Bitcoin is a fucking scam, and the people on the trading desk buying it. Oh, we're gonna fight everyone who's trading Bitcoin, but now it's like, oh nah, Bitcoin good. He's like, can you see how backward that shit is? And then we have here January 16, JPM to pay $80 million for violating whistleblower protection. Why, oh why, is the SEC coming after crypto now? If this is supposed to be their job. SEC awards more than $28 million to 7 whistleblowers, lol. SCA charges UAE-based Brugge Energy and former executives with fraud. Alright, okay, so that's fine. I don't care about that. That's fine. Good. They have a good purpose. They're not all completely evil. But when I see them coming after, what do we got? Is there anything cryptocurrency? There's not much, you know? Justin Sun, fraud, unregistered, exchange, broker, and clearing agency, crypto trading platforms, trading platform, offering an unregistered exchange, Beatrix, and then we got Coinbase manager and his brother agreed to settle insider trading charges. And then we got this one here. People may be familiar with SEC charges Hex founder Richard Hart with misappropriated $1 million of investor funds from unrestricted crypto asset securities offerings that raised more than $1 billion. Okay, allegedly. Now, SEC obtains emergency relief to hold Utah-based company crypto asset fraud screen. So is it that the SEC is concerned? I don't know if it's the $1 billion that they're concerned about, or the misappropriating millions of dollars. You know, I'm not so sure. Now, there was some other stuff. I'm just going off what I see here. Now, it says here also crypto trading asset, unregistered exchange, broker clearing agency. Okay, it's probably worth going and have a look at what's going on there. SEC charges former New Jersey corrections officer with fraud, targeted law enforcement. SEC charges company SafeMoon for fraud unregistered. Okay, security. So what, like a fine? But then the fraud is probably the bad thing. Well, they're both. Anyway, if it's unregistered, right, then there's a fine. Then the token exists and the token can be traded at will according to XRP rulings, is my understanding, like I said before. If it's been issued and it's like offering unregistered securities bad, I think it's a fine, etc., etc. Then if it's the fraud, it goes into the the other areas. I'm not sure how it works, but it's different branches of law. Basically, SEC is dealing with protecting consumers. Basically, bond breach, down breach, stop, unregistered offer and sale structure. So okay, but so there's nothing. Since 2023, I think they even issued that they're not so focused in on cryptocurrency anymore. It's actually more to do with AI. Well, AI was more of a concern than crypto, because since then, if I remove crypto from this, if we go to view, apply, search by headline, nothing, should pull up something. Press release. So maybe go back a few times. Nope. Okay, so we go press release, home, and then we go here. Yeah, okay, so mind you, it's very early here, isn't it, lol? Yeah. Probably not the best example, but the most recent one is JP Morgan paying fine, lol. Okay, now, not on Team SEC by any means, because I just can't help but think that they have a bone to pick with crypto. I'm not sure what it is or why. Now, this is the next. So after all that, sorry, that was just absolute crap. I was just rambling on. Larry Fink wants to tokenize everything these battles are all for show. I really think they are, man. Well, because yeah, um, like I said, we're seeing crypto bad, but then you look into the recent press releases by the SEC. I mean, this year nothing. It's like the most recent one is JP Morgan to pay 80 million for violating whistleblower protection, but I don't. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong spot, but I don't see that all over the news as much as, crypto bad in the narrative. But there is some people that, question what the banks are doing, and maybe they should. That's a whole nother topic. But I think it's tied into this crypto topic, which is tied into the political game, which is tied into, government control, over stepping of government control, and less government maybe, which is what I'm for. But again, this is all relative to, US based stuff. So maybe I should just butt out and just not worry about it and go, everything in Australia is fine, all good. That's what the stream could be. But I'll get to the next part. This is the curious thing for me. Now, we've gone over basically, like, I do, hang on, I'll quick comment. Larry Fink wants to tokenize everything in these battles, all for show. Crypto is unstoppable, co-opted by legacy finance. Yeah, like, I'm pretty sure we have here in Australia, like, the equivalent of, I don't know if it's NASDAQ or the Dow, New York Stock Exchange, ASX, crypto, not crypto, blockchain. Basically, we have a system here in Australia, and like the stock exchange, one of them, Australian Securities Exchange, ASIC would be the equivalent of SEC, but it's saying here that Australian Stock Exchange software overhaul won't involve blockchain. Oh, okay, at one stage they were talking about it involving a blockchain. Basically, buy and sell trades was going to be all on a, I thought was going to be on a blockchain, but apparently not. But if you have a look at the stock exchange, the T+3 rules, it's a bunch of bullshit. But it's it's all for compliance. But when you see it from the back end, it's like, what the fuck is this shit? Oh my god, it's just a bunch of old ass computer systems talking to each other. It's like, and then people have built like where is it? Like Mark was saying, there's like almost like a whole new monetary system, more efficient, a quicker system, a faster system, something that's operating 24/7. I don't understand why they're not using blockchain more often. I don't understand why big companies aren't using blockchain. Maybe they are. They're adopting AI pretty quick. It makes no sense. And then we have this here. So all of that, we've got the SEC. And they're going after crypto, and they're going after people who apparently they're large companies that issue unregistered securities under their laws, and that is bad. But then once those tokens are in existence, anyone can trade them on any exchange. Okay, so that's the logic I'm understanding so far. On top of that, though, they're then trying to say that exchanges, centralized exchanges, especially, are illegally trading these unregistered securities. It's like, but didn't you just say that after the quote unquote unregistered securities are issued, which is bad, it's broken the law there, the Securities and Exchange law. After that takes place, right, then retail traders can trade it. But then you're saying now retail traders can't trade it. So what is it? You're just trying to kill every exchange, or you're just trying to say that only Bitcoin is okay and only Ripple is okay. Next, from 2018, we have this here. SEC officials pushed Hyman to clarify ETH wasn't a security, court documents. Now this is back in 2008. 2023. June 13, 2023. Now, documents show that Hyman and other SEC officials plan to meet with Vitalik ahead of 2018 speech. That's kind of interesting. Now, the SEC released hundreds of documents, including emails, notes, after a judge ordered documents to be unsealed as part of the ongoing legal battle with Ripple and the SEC securities regulators. So we kind of covered that. I kind of covered that vaguely. I'm not sure I relayed my entire thoughts through my words, but hopefully you got the gist if you're listening to this. The highly anticipated documents related to 2018 speech from former SEC Division Director William Hyman were released June 2013, 2020. When was this released? Here. Anyway, so I gave my dates mixed up. Documents show how Hyman's speech was clarified that the SEC didn't believe that Ether was a security at the time. Evolved prior to the SEC targeting XRP as security. In his speech, Hyman said, and putting aside the fundraising that accompanied the creation of Ether, based on my understanding of the present state of Ether, the Ethereum network and its decentralized structure, current offers and sales of Ether are not securities transactions. So, how the fuck are you then going to explain to me that current offers, sales of Ether are not, securities transactions, but yet then you are going to, your organization, SEC, is then going to go after centralized exchanges or any exchanges potentially that offer unregistered illegal securities, which are what? Everything that's not Bitcoin and XRP. This is I'm trying to understand the logic here, and it's not very clear at all, and people want fucking clarity. What is it that you're going to say that, like I said, with the Ripple case, you said, okay, it was issued, it was unregistered security, bad, fines, then people can trade and do whatever they want. If you think about logically, the whole time, people trading and doing whatever they want because, it's out in the wild and it could have happened anyway. Very frustrating. And then it has to be put forward to the SEC. Like, how did it get in front of the SEC? Is it the SEC just decided, or they had enough evidence supporting one suggestion, or there's someone in the SEC that doesn't like crypto, or I don't know how these decisions come about. Please, SEC, be transparent, but don't let your account be hacked. Dear God. We saw what happened with the price of Bitcoin. What did you do? Shit. Gary Gensler won't miss when you retire, because everyone in crypto loves you so much with the passion. This is why I make these streams. To make your life easy. Now, documents show conversations with the SEC employees at the time, including trading and marketing departments, comments, and Hyman. An email would be used if we are all in agreement. We also have a call with Vitalik Buterin later this week to confirm our understanding of how the Ethereum Foundation operates. Brett Redfern, the director of trading markets at the time, told Hyman via email his original language on ETH, and whether it was security remained vague. Redfern suggested that Hyman use stronger language. New documents. Comments show an unnamed editor saying, as we discussed, as written, referring to the sentiment within this section of the speech, we think the relevant question, as discussed throughout the rest of the speech, is whether the digital asset meets the legal standard of a security, and not whether it warrants regulation as a security. So we need to figure out if a digital asset meets the legal standards of a security, not whether it warrants regulation as a security. Okay. The comments also show that the SEC saying that we do not want to suggest that BTC is a security. Now, why the fuck would they say? The comments also show the SEC saying we do not want to suggest that BTC is a security. So they don't want BTC to be a security, but they don't really care if other things are security. Maybe they think later on there might be. Like, do I just go full like Loonbird here and be like, so what instructions are they getting from the WEF and Davos? Like, what are they being told there? Like, how come all of a sudden they're going to have a USDC regulation while they're talking about this in the WEF Davos? And then magically it happens. That's easy to say things like that, but I wasn't there. I'm not in the room, so I can't confirm that. But then I see them take place, and I'm like, hang on, there's some stuff going on there, Crazy, right? Now, continuing on, knowing for context that the SEC doesn't want BTC to be security. And they've also approved the security ETF now. And BlackRock is now trying to buy up all the Bitcoin they can. Good on them. Good luck. People who are in early, please don't sell it to them. Please don't sell it to them. Now, We thought you were going to say that you don't believe ETH security. We think that it is a helpful message, this statement. On the other hand, it appears likely to create more confusion about the status of ETH. To the extent you don't say ETH is not a security, please consider confirming the policy rationale to the disclosure regime of the federal securities law, as you did with respect to Bitcoin early in the paragraph. You know, please give everyone some fucking clarity. Why is Bitcoin different to Ethereum? What makes it so? Is it because the founder was anonymous? Was it because... Why is that? You know, why? Why? Wasn't there early videos of Vitalik at Bitcoin conferences, etc., etc.? I don't know. It's just getting very weird, very quick. I wish they would give us some clarity, some logical clarity. Not that, by the way, Bitcoin, not a security. ETH, not so sure. Yeah, I'll go on. ETH, not so sure. ERC20 is not so sure. Contacts we can sanction. And, you know, exchanges, we're going to say, trading these illegal unregistered securities. But we have a ruling that says, you know, after the unregistered securities took place by a company, by a firm, then you can do whatever you want with the tokens as a retail investor holder. What sort of clarity is that, SEC? Oh, and at the same time, we're going to start going after forks of the entire Ethereum state. Just you know, just to add some more clarity for everyone. You know, it's clearly so clear right now. Anyway, we thought you were going to say that. Employees also noted that they had reservations about including the direct statement on Ether in the speech because it seems that it would be difficult for the agencies to take a different position on Ether in the future. They had reservations about including a direct statement on Ether in the speech because it seems that it would be difficult for the agency to take a different position on Ether in the future. So, if Bitcoin is not a security, why then is Hex on Ethereum, which is basically Bitcoin but better, on chain with its T-share function equivalent to hash rate? Why is that like deemed a security now? Like how? I'm having a very hard time understanding the logic. It would have been good if they stated here in this particular release that, you know, ETH is not a security, because maybe that's the next thing, because they're all talking about this ETH ETF now. Anyway, the rest of the paragraph only implies me thinking it applies to Ether. Without the sentence about Ether, those implications might generate a useful reaction about Ether from purchasers or for those in the fintech space. With the sentence, the reaction seems less likely to focus on the analysis and more likely to focus on the potential fallout of making a direct statement about Ether's status as a security. Fuck's sake, people. Another comment: SEC officials acknowledge that the fact that tokens on a sufficiently decentralized network are no longer securities and no longer are required to register with all. Okay. Another comment: SEC acknowledges that the fact that tokens on a sufficiently decentralized network. Another comment: SEC officials acknowledge that the fact that tokens on a sufficiently decentralized network are no longer securities. Okay. And no longer required to register with all the benefits of registration. Seems to point out what might be considered a regulatory gap that exists in this space. So they've gone from that to... Well, what is more decentralized than a fucking network? Scattered all over the world, of individuals, whatever reason, run validators to keep the network up and running with more than one fucking node. Let's define decentralization. I'm sorry, this is funny to me. Decentralization. Now I'm Australian, so I use S. Let's have a look. Decentralization, or decentralization, is the process by which the activities of an organization, particularly those regarding planning and decision making, are distributed or delegated away from central authoritative location group or given to smaller fractions within it. So, decentralized, centralized. I would say Ethereum nodes are decentralized. Maybe I would say Pulsechain nodes are decentralized. Yes. Now, anyway, back to this. I'll keep reading. Tokenism. What's happening, Machiavelli? Now, this is my, my in-depth legal, non-legal analysis. Another. I'm trying to understand the logic here, and as I read more and more, you can pull bits from here and there. It's like it just said without this sentence about if those implications might generate a useful reaction about. Where is it? In another comment, SEC, I want to repeat this. In another comment, SEC officials acknowledged that the fact that a token on a sufficiently decentralized network are no longer securities. And yet, they go back on that, and I'm not sure their position currently on Ethereum. No longer required to register with all benefits and investors or registration. The other day, Gensler was saying, Bitcoin is centralized. Bitcoin is centralized. Bitcoin is centralized. Like centralized in what terms of? Okay. Like centralized in terms of the place you buy the miners from China, or what? Centralized how? Centralized in the fact they only need electricity. The fuck makes me like twitch, frustration. Now, in other words, the speech acknowledges that there is another category. The comment said it's not actually, it's some security because there's no controlling group, at least in the Howard sense. Yet, like many other things, medication, credit cards, there may be a need for regulation to protect purchases. Maybe a need to regulate. To explain how they may regulate. Because at the moment, banks are limiting how much you can spend on cryptocurrency. It's a form of regulation, not imposed by any government, but that's imposed by the place that you get your money from, basically, if you're not printing it from thin air, like the Fed or cryptocurrency. Now, knowing conflicts of interest. A batch of emails between Hyman and Shira Paris Minton, the designated agency ethics official at the SEC, was released in April 2022 after Empower Oversight, a non-profit whistleblower organization, successfully filed a Freedom of Information Act request. Very nice. Now, Milton warned Hyman that there is not to engage in any SEC matters that could impact law firm Simpson Thacher, where he worked before the SEC due to his financial interest in the firm. He was also advised not to meet with anyone from Simpson Thacher. Okay. That's kind of interesting to know that humans can be subject to things like that, whereas if all this information was on a blockchain, you can't mess with none of it. You can read it. Hyman went with Josh Bonney, a partner at Simpson Thacher, several times after being warned about the conflict of interest. Empower Oversight said in April 2022 statement, the former SEC director also met with co-founders of investors in Ethereum ahead of the speech he gave in 2018, declaring Ether a token, not a security. Does that still stand? Let's look that up. SEC ETH news. How about that? So we're looking at the Coinbase Clash Space first major test as Judge Way's long shot dismissal, which is what led us down this rabbit hole, talking about the release of the Hyman emails, I believe it was. Now, April 22 email release suggests Hyman and the SEC had an interest in protecting Ether over other similar tokens. If this were found to be true, it would be a significant win for Ripple. Shortly after these documents revealed, the agency may have acted inconsistently with their classification of crypto tokens. A judge ruled the SEC would not be able to edit or clarify any of the content in the emails ahead of the XRP case, which had already been underway for over a year when the first round of emails dropped. Okay. The SEC and Ripple are awaiting summary judgment, with Ripple's legal team previously said that some could for the end of the year. The possibility that the judge could rule that there is not sufficient evidence for a judgment, summary judgment, and the case could go to trial, or Ripple SEC could potentially agree on the settlement. Although Ripple said, you don't like the outcome. Okay. So, settlement. What happened with the Ripple case, man? And how come SEC is defending to death Bitcoin as not a security, but yet Bitcoin is a crypto, and the talking point is everything but Bitcoin is security? How? What about, I hate to say this, what about the forks of Bitcoin? Are they a security? What the fuck? Ethereum is not a security. We must not say Ethereum is not a security because it could confuse the masses. We could say it's a token though, or there might be some conflict of interests. Oh, and by the way, if you issue these illegal unregistered securities, but then you trade them at the end of this, that's okay. You can still trade them, that's fine. But then now the exchanges that trade the things that are legally allowed to be traded and not securities, they're the ones that are trading the illegal securities now, unregistered securities. What next? What more what are you going to go after now, SEC? What are you going to say? We've decided that oxygen is legal because oxygen leads to the creation and circulation of new blood cells. The circulation of blood cells, and another creation of new blood, and that can lead to thoughts, and thoughts could actually create write words, and then people could write words, and they could write code, and that's how we need to ban all cryptocurrency. Yes, that's the way. What the fuck? Oh. Meanwhile, when their Twitter account got hacked, right, and the price of Bitcoin went up and down, that's all good. But then when SEC points out that they're doing XYZ and the price goes down, as an investor, not even as an investor, as a holder of some tokens, right, that SEC talk about, you dump the price, and how did that protect me? I'm living in Australia, but you just wrecked me. Good, thanks SEC, well done. They didn't wreck me because I'm technically I've burnt all my tokens, I'm not holding them, and I'm just getting more of them from fucking thin air. Similarly to the way the hash rate works with Bitcoin, but apparently I need protection from the SEC against the evil doer of Hex, Pulsechain, and Pulsex, yeah, and Richard Hart, yeah, okay. This is what I'm being told. This is logical, yeah, okay. Meanwhile, JP Morgan breaks whistle. What did JP Morgan do? They broke. They have to pay $80 million for violating whistleblower protection rule. So they whack the whistleblower, and no, but that's all good though. They just get a fine. What did they get? Let's have a look. I'm only kidding. JP Morgan didn't whack no one. Now, they agreed to pay $18 million in civil penalty to settle the charges. $18 million, right? And all $18 million, and all goes away. I mean, it stays on their record, but the JP Morgan's not going anywhere. Now, okay, so I've covered a fair bit. Now, this one here I thought was also interesting. Now I've gone way back and forth and back and forth. I should have covered it in a chronological order, but brain doesn't work like that. I didn't prepare. This is just on the fly, impromptu late night streaming about really important things that you probably shouldn't listen to me at all about, to be honest. Now, SEC implicitly accepts Ethereum as a commodity in major regulatory boost. If the SEC declares Ether a security, January 10th, lawsuits are expected as firms ramp up on spot Ethereum ETF applications this year. Fucking litigious ass people. You want to get a job? Become a lawyer. And there's some work over in the cryptocurrency space. Not as much as there once was, but When the US Securities Exchange Commission approved Ethereum futures ETF last October, it effectively accepted that Ether, the world's second largest cryptocurrency by market capitalization, was a commodity, says Bloomberg ETF analyst. Okay. So now we have Ethereum being a commodity, as accepted by, as deemed. It's like, it's like saying, it's like that game, drink if you've never done this or whatever that game is, Now, here we go. Expect more Ethereum ETFs filings in the coming days. Note, this is an S1, not a 19B4, which means it does not start clocking anyway yet. 19B4 soon, okay? Now, we see that there, the Ethereum ETFs. Now, I need to learn about this because CF Part pointed out that the regulator did not object to Ethereum being categorized as a commodity when the ETF application was registered. So can commodities be securities? I don't think they can. Because, security is different from commodity. I'm pretty sure. The Commodities Futures Trading Commission, CFTC. The CFTC is blatantly calling Ethereum a commodity. So SEC is saying, look, Bitcoin, don't touch Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not a security. Ethereum is being called a commodity by the CFTC. They do not call them securities, Stephane said. The SEC was approved Ethereum's futures ETF, Stephane said, added. So again, Gary Gensler will not explicitly say whether Ethereum is a security or a commodity. But in their action, by approving those Ethereum futures, they're implicitly accepting those Ethereum futures are commodities futures. Is Ethereum, SEC, I have a question. Is Ethereum a security? Yes or no? Is it a commodity? Yes or no? Is a copy of an Ethereum a commodity? Yes or no? The debate over Ethereum's classification as a commodity or security has raged since inception of cryptocurrencies. Ooh, see, there's stuff I'm learning. This is good. Given the regulatory ambiguity around digital assets, here's that word again. That's what they call it here in Australia, the digital asset bill. Both CFTC and SEC have wrangled for jurisdiction over control over digital assets at various junctures. Oh, so they're like, no, it's mine. They're fighting over who has jurisdiction. Is it a commodity? It's ours. If it's a security, it's ours. Surprise them below, it's a hybrid. Both have jurisdiction. Claiming that cryptocurrencies like Ethereum could fall under their regulations, SEC Chair Gary Gensler infamously asserted that everything but Bitcoin could technically be considered a security. What about forks of Bitcoin? What about things that are basically the same shit? What about that? No, everything but Bitcoin. An opinion that has been fiercely disputed by multiple crypto firms. Yeah, I would be on the side that, any cryptocurrency is a fucking cryptocurrency. I'm not sure. Anyway. Now, how many Bitcoin miners are? So don't the miners on Bitcoin keep the system fucking operating, keep the blockchain, keep track of it, and they validate everything, and they make sure that there's no double spending, and like, aren't the miners all decentralized or scattered across the world? Like Ethereum's validated nodes, like Pulsechain's validated nodes. It'll be crazy, right? But things that sound pretty damn similar to me are being called two different things, whilst at the same time being called the one's like one's a security, but also it's a commodity, right? But even though a security can't be a commodity and vice versa. Okay. And then one thing is is definitely not a security, but it's the same, basically similar thing to the thing that's a commodity. And then there's another thing, right? That's literally a fork of the one thing, which basically is a very similar thing of the other thing. That one is being called an unregistered security, even though the thing that it's a literal fork of is actually a commodity. It's been called a commodity. But, They can't decide. So people ask the SEC for some guidance, and they get told what? Bunch of bullshit. Now, I'll keep going. Thank you for viewing this few time. It's helping. Hopefully, I can get to the stage where I can shoot ads, on my channel and get like. Actually, I don't know how much ads get. It'd be kind of cool. I'm better off making shorts at this point in time. But I don't think I'm going to be YouTubing to get ads as my primary source of income. To be honest, I'm not even sure I'll turn them on, unless they make okay money. But I reckon I'd much rather get the views, get the little plaques. But I think I'm pretty shit. Long way away, but not gonna give up. I'll keep going, but this stuff, man. So, however, the October 23 decision to accept Ether futures ETF signals more applications for spot Ethereum ETFs are in the cards, coming as soon as later this year. 9 ETF Pro shares, Van Eyck, Bitwise, Valkyrie Kelly, and Vol shares, among others, were listed on the Chicago Board Exchange Options. I'm pretty sure they're part of the Fed. If, however, the SEC declares Ether as security, it would be highly probable that lawsuits would materialize over the classification. Now, has SEC declared Ethereum a security? Let's have a look, boys and girls. Fuck. I should just use that fucking Microsoft AI, Was it Edge? I like the outcome of this one. This is a great outcome. Ethereum is often held up as kind of gold standard for digital assets that are not considered securities under the law. Low. What? Low. And I've looked at this page. Is Ethereum a security under US law? A court would likely agree with the US Securities and Exchange Commission's SEC that Ethereum 2.0 amounts to an unrestricted security. A comprehensive internal legal memo has warned. Oh, okay, no. Okay, so this is the other one I think I covered before. That little meme song I made. Now, after the law group issued the memo, venture capital firm Ventures and warned that both Ethereum's move to proof of stake and Ethereum's 2.0 staking programs offered exchanges by exchanges, both amount to illegal securities offerings under the Howard test. Okay. Ethereum is not often held up as a kind of gold standard for digital that not considered security under the law. Low. Got it wrong. Now, this is thanks to comments made by former SEC Director 2018, which indicated the view that ETH was a commodity rather than a security, which we just went through. Though the speech was explicitly caveated as not being representative of the SEC official position. So they can just say shit, but it's not the SEC's official position. Huh? Okay. ETH holders have clung to these words ever since. Okay, fair enough. He said it once, The laws changed in 2018, not least all regulators' understanding of the digital asset industry. Look no further than sweeping charges levied by SEC against the two biggest digital asset changes for legally listing securities, issuing against on record comments for only a few of the coins listed on exchange were not securities. A few. That's more than two. Which are, what are they? Now let's have a look. Now, where is Open Edge? Microsoft Edge. And we have here. According to where's my chat, buddy? Yeah. Managers commissioned this report so that it continues to clear illegal securities business. I think the evidence only platform. I think that the evidence is the only. I think the evidence is the only platform they said not to be security is BSV. So like Bitcoin, XRP, and BSV now. Okay, that's interesting. Everything else can get fined. Everything else is gonna be fined, but like, you know, if it's decentralized enough, it's not security, but that's not the official view. Everything's gonna be fined, and then the exchanges then have to deal with it to continue on their business model. Meanwhile, people just trade and do whatever. As long as they pay taxes. Okay. Okay. Cool. Pretty sure there's countries, man, that do not pay taxes. They might be some good countries to go to. Investment of money. I don't really know how Interesting. I don't know what's going on, man. Woman, everyone. But I'll do one more search of. Where is it? Where's my AI search? Edge. No security. So this is pulling up not a security as per Investopedia. Got here some good ones. SEC official declares Ether is not a security back in 2018. Okay, so maybe we look at some newer shit because we read that may not be the official position. However, people have been held on to that belief. If you believe that is what's going on, and for my logic, I kind of like to think, you know, Ether is similar to Bitcoin, and Pulsechain is like a fork of ETH. Therefore, apply logic. What happens if Ether is security? This was more recent. This is Yahoo Finance. I'll pull this one up just briefly. Now, what happens if Ether is a security? Well, if Ether is a security, is Ether a native? Is ETH the native cryptocurrency? The native cryptocurrency of Ether? I don't know. Is it? Of the Ethereum blockchain and the second largest by market cap behind Bitcoin versus security. Now, we've heard this before. This is probably pulling data from somewhere else, but I'll continue it anyway. The question been a resource of simmering speculation ever since Ethereum switched last year to a proof of stake blockchain network where investors can stake their coins in exchange for rewards, not too dissimilar from the interest paid out on bonds. A fresh allegation from New York's state regulator could push legal debate back to the front burner. That's good. You know, in a lawsuit filed against Shelley's based crypto exchange KuCoin on Thursday, New York Attorney General NYAG Letter James alleged that the firm broke the law by selling unregistered securities. Among the unregistered securities listed in the suit was Ether. Okay, now Ether has long been okay. Ether has long been treated as a commodity by state and federal regulators, including the Communist Futures Trading, designed as designating it as a security would have a massive impact on crypto markets, drastically changing how and whether the cryptocurrency and others like it are traded in the US. Okay, so what are you doing, SEC US? What are you trying to do here? I mean, shit, if you live, I was gonna say, like, if you don't want to be in the US, come to South Australia, you know? I mean, but you may not like, there's not much. Actually, don't come here, you know. You know, go to I don't know where I'll go. I'd kind of want to go to the US, but like all these crypto stuff, it makes me not want to go there, you know. Now, where was I? Shit, I'll wrap this one up pretty soon. Thank you for the 3 watches. Yeah, 180 minutes long. I might have to just let this one run. For infinite, go for the world record, yeah. Longest ever stream about 3-letter agencies' definitions. Because you're going to get as much clarity from me as you are from them. Now, the case for Ether as a security. Ethereum apparently drew extra scrutiny from regulators starting in 2022 when it switched from proof of work system to a proof of stake system, blah, blah, blah. Story continues. Concentrated influence. What happens if Ether is security? Gensler was increasingly cracked down on the crypto industry as of late, has hinted previously that Ethereum switch of proof of stake brings it closer to alignment with the agency's definition of security. Okay, SEC defines securities based on Howey test, which funnily enough I learned from streams from Richard, the Howey test, which says security is a contract, transaction, or scheme whereby a person invests his money to a common enterprise and is led to expect profits solely from the efforts of the promoter or a third party. What? What is the fuck? Fuck is these words, man? Proof of stake by this logic might bring Ether close to security because its interest payouts require legal work and rhyme with how it is expectation of profit. It is not, however, a foregone conclusion that SEC will seek to classify Ether as a security. From a practical standpoint, I still think it's very unlikely that SEC is going to declare the current offer and sale of ETH to involve unregistered securities transactions, said Gazlov, and because the impact of doing so would be devastating to a large number of American investors, and the amount of resources necessary to properly enforce that declaration would be far beyond what the SEC is probably willing to allocate. Yeah, but I mean, if you're the SEC, you're probably like, oh come on, we need more funding now. We've rolled out this huge, like, you know, we've rolled this out, but we haven't got the people to enforce it. Okay, so now we need to enforce it. We need to stop sending that money to Ukraine and send us some money, you know, in the budget. Is that the argument? Impact on industry. Should Ethereum officially be classified as security by courts, exchanges wishing to list Ether will likely need to register as a securities brokers dealers with the US Securities and Exchange Commission. Now, I've heard this something before. Now, anyway, if you're already registered in New York, you can now have a question. Do you either delist Ether and or block your New York customers from being able to buy Ether, or do you just simply register as a broker dealer? So if you're a broker dealer, right, and you're an exchange, does that mean, as an individual who is purchasing this cryptocurrency from you, do they need to be a registered broker as well, or is it that the broker is issuing it, and therefore you'd have like the KYC requirements, similar to if you want to make trades, you know, you have to go to a broker, and the broker makes trades on your behalf, and you have like a number that's assigned to you, which is your identification, and you know when you press buy, you're telling a system to buy. I imagine that's buying on your behalf through the brokerage account. Maybe that's what they're talking about. Which wouldn't be the end of the world, but it's necessary. Is it really necessary? Especially when Bitcoin isn't a security. Like, are you kidding me? Maybe it's easier to track and trace just Bitcoin, you know, because that's all they were expecting, and all of a sudden they weren't expecting a copy of a copy of a copy to appear, you know. Maybe they weren't expecting the Doges and the ships to come out of the woods. Now, Belton also pointed out that, well, maybe they didn't just expect these intelligent developers to come out of the woodworks and express themselves through language, through code, to be able to create shit, you know. Belton also pointed out that James' stance comes as a surprise because exchanges operate legally in New York, not including KuCoin, which is not registered as an exchange, of Ether with approval of the state's financial regulator, the New York Department of Finance. It's not like New York had no idea that Ether was being offered. They knew for years, because to get a license to register in New York, you actually have to have assets that you plan to offer to New York, green listed by their financial regulator, Bolton said. So it's kind of insane that their Attorney General was saying, oh, by the way, you guys are selling illegal securities, despite the fact that our financial regulator has been letting you operate with impunity for 5 years, he added. I don't get it. They're just making up their own shit. Like, it's not just centralized exchanges that have something to worry about. Decentralized trading platforms, autonomous pieces of software that live on blockchains could also face legal troubles if Ether is found to be a security. autonomous piece of software that live on blockchain could also, so that would be like ERC20s, I guess they're talking about there. Technically, the way that the draft reads, if you're offering a platform to people where they can engage in these types of transactions, regardless of whether it is a commodity or a security, New York is saying, hey, we think you might be a broker dealer, either a securities broker dealer or a commodities broker dealer. Bolton said, if that's right, this thing is much bigger than oh hey, can the exchanges keep offering ether? There's already a legal precedent for outlawing blockchain-based computer programs called smart contracts. This is concerning. Over the summer, the US government banned Tornado Cash, a mixer program for links to money laundering. Now, it's curious that money laundering, they knew the money laundering was taking place, but yet they didn't, well, I'm assuming they stopped it, but how did they know it was taking place, because it was on blockchain. So, but the Tornado Cash mixer stopped it. Yeah, but how did they exit the system? Didn't you track and shit? That's what's frustrating. Now, beyond Ether, as Ether as a security would have major ramifications for crypto writ large, James' logic for classifying Ether as security based in part on the network switch to proof of stake raises questions about whether other tokens might also be classified as securities. What the NYAG is saying can expand way beyond just Ether and implicate the rest of the ecosystem, Bolton said. Outside of proof of work Bitcoin, most blockchains use a stake-based system similar to Ethereum's, meaning it's possible that regulators could put them in a similar basket. Non-Ether tokens that are hosted on Ethereum blockchain could also be impacted. The price of Ether dropped around 7% in the wake of NYAG's announcements of its lawsuit against KuCoin. All right, so that is what's going on. I think this is March 10, 2023. I think people were talking about this. I think I might made a stream about 9-10 months ago off the back of those other individuals talking about this stuff, trying to, don't know, man. Don't know. Now, let's recap. What did I cover, eh? This would be a good one. I should go back and take notes of what everything I said. Maybe just delete the stream. Lol. Let's do the mind numbing thing, and let's just have a look on X. What's happened in the meantime? Whilst I've worried about the imaginable foreign rules that could take place, and I've seen the actual things taking place, which is frustrating. I had light, nice. Why is this one appearing? I like this one. Can you just going back to crypto and three-letter agencies, right? So what happens if I don't know, bad things happen in cryptocurrency, but then what happens if all-time highs are hit in multiple tokens on a certain L1? Then what? News headlines I can envision will be XYZ is the outcome, but look at the price is melting faces or something. Maybe that happens. I don't know. I like this one. Richard attacks the SEC buy, sell. SEC attacks back, sell. So the next pump comes with Richard's team responds. Oh, okay, that's funny. Richard attacks SEC buy, SEC attacks back, sell. Did they attack back? I don't know what happened. There was a interesting, I guess, response. I did find someone else found it. It was a lot better than mine. Basically, keeping track of the cases. Now, there was a free version, but there was also, oh my God, you should see my favorites bar. It's just buried. What the fuck? Hang on. I'll get it. I'll find it. Now it's here. Then it's here. No. Just got this one here. What's this one? I had this one saved. It's like SEC warning against. So this one here. This was back before I think all the action was taking place. February 11th, 2023, it's SEC warns, including crypto assets in retirement accounts. But now you can buy ETFs. You can buy BlackRock's ETF. So go figure that. Now what I want to find is I think I found it here. I found this one, which is a pretty average one, because it looks like you get a free trial, but you can't pay for it. But for some reason, the other one that someone else found in the community, in a decentralized manner, mind you, was not working for me. I'm not sure why. In that, I couldn't open it. Let's have a look. This one here. So this was like the free version, so it should be the court listener. But yeah, I drop in the case number into it here, and for some reason it does not pull. Although it does have like some spaces. Had no results, and then I put the case number in. Still no results. Remove the spaces. Still no results. Draw jurisdiction. So I don't know what goes on. But this here, if you wanted to eyeball what is taking place, maybe someone I might join. I know the free trial, but I'll just let it go on for a little bit, see what happens. We have this here. What's the date today? It's a couple of days ago. Motion to appear. What's the fee? Some declarations, exhibit, proposed order. That's kind of interesting. Again, I'm not a lawyer, so not sure what it all means. And this response to the defendant's letter sent by, so that might be in relation to the SEC quote unquote attacking back. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck is going on. So, and that's why I really don't want to cover this, because sort of start going off into all different rabbit holes. Like I started off here at the price. Let me do a refresh. Yes. Huh? It's like glitching out. It just keeps going up. It just keeps going up. There's no stopping it. Oh man. 2 hours ago. What the fuck? How long have I been streaming for? I feel sorry if anyone having to go back to watch this thing. So the recap. The recap's gonna take me as long as the fucking my initial thoughts. Recap. Price going up to the right. Could be because of some wallets making some large moves, providing LPs, going into stables, doing all sorts of shit. Personally, as a holder, I'm loving this price action, because I don't see any way you're losing unless you sold at the lows. Maybe if you're sitting on liquid, but you know, if you sit on liquid, maybe you sell higher. But then you could sort of hurt the price against yourself. I don't understand why you wouldn't maybe be single-sided staking your shit somewhere. You wouldn't be being a decentralized validator in a system. Why you wouldn't be burning your hex and getting T-shares and getting more hex, you know? Why you wouldn't be maybe farming some farms and getting some free INC token income. Getting your free airdrop if you haven't already heard about this. Because we're seeing INC token being listed on sites like CoinGecko in its correct state. We're seeing this weird phenomenon where BlackRock is now entering the system, and all the money from institutional investors is flowing in and causing the price of Bitcoin to do not a lot, because there's probably some arbitrage opportunities taking place by the big guys, the hedge funds and the like. Yeah. Between the actual price of Bitcoin and these ETFs, maybe it's not happening. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe you got Aladdin all doing its thing from BlackRock. Excuse me. This is the same thing here, same bit of information, just from on a different site, but it's the same headline. As we see here from FX Street, click on that, it'll take us back to here, and this is where it first appeared. So sorry, got that around the wrong way. Then we go over here. Why can't we cut 90% of the government? Why can't we cut 90? Why can't we just why don't we just cut the head of the SEC? You know, like this here, CoinGecko listing Pulsechain accurately. So in light of all of this, like, I think cryptocurrency and everyone is gonna, it's almost like an operation to get all of cryptocurrency to band together. It's either going to round us all up and execute us all, or it's going to round us all up and get us all politically motivated and push back hard enough to get what we want, you know, we the loonbirds. Now, we then see this here. BlackRock now holds XYZ amount of Bitcoin, which is a lot, you know. We then see here people having the ability to short on code forked over from Ethereum, which works on Pulsechain with a lot cheaper fees. And if you hate PEX so bad and Pulsechain, you think it's all going to zero, short it. See what happens, you know. We then see this here. I thought it was interesting. Crypto Holdings has X plan to replace PayPal. Visa and banks quietly accelerates Bitcoin price swings. Maybe, just maybe, you know, somehow crypto's banned everywhere except on Twitter. That would be fucking hilarious. We have this here, you know, Bitcoin, billion Bitcoin crypto ETF price, yeah, some other stuff. I think that's older. Gen 12, yeah. Then we saw this here. Yeah, I went over some different logic behind some cases and how they won, some cases how they lost, some cases how they both won and lost simultaneously, some cases how the exchange is now being attacked as deemed as selling unregistered securities in the even though the previous court rulings have sort of explained some logic, and I'm confused as to what the SEC is actually trying to do. That is basically the gist of it. We're seeing the most recent movement from the SEC is JP Morgan to pay $80 million for violating whistleblower protection rule. So how about SEC? You know, you stop attacking crypto and people aren't doing anything wrong. Because once you find out they're not doing anything wrong or whatever you find, you go back to, you know, focusing on the banksters who are like violating whistleblower protections. But you know, that's just what I think. We saw here, you know, also maybe SEC, maybe, you know, you focused in on like Terra Luna after like they were found to be criminals, which would have been easy in your court case to, you know, say, oh, we need to stop this because this is illegal security because the guy's a criminal. Yeah, okay, what about the people who aren't criminals? Then what? That's why I'm confused with your logic. We saw this here. This is some old news I dredged up from ages ago, basically saying ETH wasn't security. Some people are holding on to that, which is fair enough because some of the, again, their guidance is very vague. We then saw an opposite ruling here, not opposite ruling, an opposite opinion here, basically saying some people are thinking that Ethereum is more a commodity based on some agencies claiming CTFC claiming their ownership of it while the other people are claiming their ownership over it. So they're basically fighting over who can regulate it, because maybe they can see the future where, you know, they might get a nice new job title, a nice new shiny head of a new agency who, like the digital asset head or something, you know, of regulation. Maybe they're going to pay your ass. Maybe that's probably what it's after, to be honest. Now, brace for you. And now this one, okay. In closing, after all that bullshit, right? I think I should have the ability to say whatever the fuck I want within reason, as long as I'm not calling out fire in a crowded theater where there is none, and you know, I'm not breaking the law. I think, unless the law's changed in which, you know, free speech is now illegal, I think I should have the right to political free speech. Now, here in Australia, we brace for the new mega censorship. Who will determine what is correct and true? I wrote this bill, and yet I'm not sure. Maybe it's still going through. Now, here in Australia, if there's any doubt as to ACMA's role as a state censor in pending laws, say government information cannot be labelled misinformation or disinformation, right? So if you remember, certain policies you just could not speak out against, even if there was scientific evidence to question, which I think is everyone's in their right mind to question, especially when there's logic behind it, especially when there's evidence, data, and facts. But apparently, no. If the government is wrong and they tell you what to do, then that is correct. Now, if that doesn't sound kind of like communist China tactics, I'm not sure what it is. It says here, with this very Australia Day argument circulating around, it leads to a question of what it means to be Australian. Is Australia a place, or is it a set of ideas or sensibilities? One piece of legislation, one set of regulations might end those debates forever, as they will censor everything, so we must all agree with the government. This is what I'm concerned about with digital ID and cryptocurrency being labeled XYZ. Because imagine if one day they just say, we outlaw cryptocurrency here in Australia, you cannot ever talk about it on your channel, banned. There'll be nothing I can do. Now, legislation is, now that's a very extreme example. I don't think that's the intention behind it, but however, it could lead to that. The legislation is the Communication Legislation Amendment, Combating Misinformation, Disinformation Bill 2023. I wrote a report, I wrote a response to that. I'm not sure how many other people did. And the regulations of the draft online safety. Relevant, because it's for your safety, right? Relevant electronic services, Class 1A, Class 1B, material. Industry Standard 2024. Both are under the control of Australian Communication and Media Authority. Originally, the simple regulator formed the merger of the Australian Broadcasting Authority and the Australian Communication Authority in 2005, ACMA, morphing into a mega censor capable of directing and curtailing public political discussion and eavesdropping without warrant on those who merely suspected of potential terrorism crimes. Kind of scary. But there's a lot of, if you think about that, it's like if there's actual crime going on, then maybe you want that. I don't know. But what if you're like suspected of on weak suspicion and you're not actually, but yet they still want to listen to you anyway? It kind of feels like my civil liberties are being breached. Kind of feels like I'm just like some cattle or some shit to be spied on. Like, fuck. Now, the Misinformation and Disinformation Bill. The Combating Misinformation and Disinformation Bill will allow ACMA to regulate anything it deems misinformation, unintentionally wrong content, or disinformation, intentionally wrong content on websites. Okay, so large media companies are members of the Australian Press Council, are exempt and left to the Press Council to deal with. So, for instance, if you are an up-and-coming individual who decides to be a citizen journalist of any form, or you just merely want to create a vlog and talk about random shit on the internet, like cryptocurrency, some court cases that's going on, some freedom's been taken away, you may be deemed unintentionally wrong content, misinformation or disinformation, intentionally wrong content because you're pro XYZ and that's why you're talking about this content. Large media companies that are members, okay, Press Council, yeah, okay, so press get a pass, which is fine, I guess, as long as they do their job. Which sometimes I wonder, are they doing their job? How often do you hear about cryptocurrency in the media? Specifically, how certain things are taking place. It's either they just don't know about it, they don't care about it, or they're not instructed to look at it. Now, unless they're Bloomberg, which we cover Mexicans from memory. Now, smaller players like blogs, political organizations, websites, niche internet publishers, and many blogs. So a blogger, like me, a blogger. Political and organization websites, niche internet publishers, and many of the authors on aggregated publishing platforms like Substack would come under their control. Through the use of imposed standards of conduct, ACMA will be able to determine the truth of what they publish. If there is any doubt as to ACMA's role as a state censor, the legislation states that government information cannot be misinformation or disinformation. So if the government says the sky is purple, you will say the sky is purple. And if someone comes out and says, no, it's blue, and there's like grey and white clouds, you will be called either misinformation because you didn't understand what the color purple was, or disinformation because you're nefarious and you're trying to interfere with the Australian government's policies. Okay. Please read that the last sentence again. Let it sink in. Governments never make errors or lie. Okay. Now, I'm not sure what that actually means, but I don't like the sound of it at all because once this gets rolled out, it's impossible to remove. So just imagine, right? Just imagine you're in Australia, you like cryptocurrency, and they come out and say that all cryptocurrency, government issued, comes out and says all cryptocurrency is bad. All cryptocurrency is used for bad things. If you disagree with that, you will be either producing misinformation or disinformation. And government cannot be misinformation or disinformation, no matter what. Even if they don't have enough information at the time when they're making, informed judgment or getting advice from certain advisors, maybe health advisors or otherwise, financial advisors, they can never be wrong. They can never be misinformation. Okay, so ironically, the enhancement of this ACMA power is based on misinformation itself. You should read as to what brought about. Originally, the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, ACCC, was asked to look at the question of online misinformation and mail-in information. This new one. The Commission reported a recommendation misinformation not be regulated, and it limited disinformation to things like doctored and dubbing video footage, misrepresenting political figures' position on issues, or information incorrectly alleging that public individual is involved with illegal activity. Now, it goes on to say, in the case of disinformation, the Commission also thought that the law already adequately covered things like false, misleading advertising, defamation, but suggested that the ACMA monitor the situation. Now, not very encouraging from the point of view of state censors who might want more justification for increased powers, but still leaves a thin gap that craftily bureaucrat could try to widen. I shake my head in disgust because I can just feel the freedoms being taken away. Now, of speech, of political free speech, now online especially, ignoring the ACCC's reservation about misinformation, the ACMA plowed ahead, commissioning academics at the News and Media Research Centre at Canberra University, which has long been lobbying for censorship in Australia, to investigate the harms caused by online misinformation. Now, academics produced a report, COVID-19, Australian News and Misinformation Longitudinal Study, which leveraged the threat of COVID to prove that misinformation could cause harm serious enough to regulate it. Except it actually proves the opposite, right? Each of the 5 propositions they tested as misinformation was either true or a matter of opinion. If you thought there were risks with the mRNA vaccines, you were misinformed. A large number of vax injured, greater than for all other vaccine combined, says you were actually correct. Now, YouTube, if you can read this, read it. Understand what it is I'm saying. People who thought politicians exaggerate were classified as misinformed. If you suspected authorities were flying by the seat of their pants without proper scientific evidence, you were also classified as misinformation. And if you realized that for most people, COVID was not a serious risk and could be treated using supplements and over-the-counter drugs, you were also misinformed. Now, it says here there's an image of ivermectin bottle next to a positive blood sample of COVID-19. Shut stop. Now, ironically, when you reanalyze the data using correct values for misinformation, you find that people were most likely being well informed, and those who spent most time on internet platforms, particularly social media. Yet, it is those sites that the government and ACMA has its sights on and wants control. Now, so this is starting to sound more and more like a communist dictatorship and a control of what information you can consume. What is it going to do next? Like block internet websites from accessing them, ban VPNs, where's it go next? Ban access to cryptocurrency exchanges because the government said they're bad. The Misinformation and Disinformation Act will intersect with the industry standard to dispute services providers to spy on Australians. Service providers to spy on Australians who use email, social media, chat rooms, and end-to-end encrypted services. So things like Telegram, The The new online safety standard, like Misinformation Act, which uses COVID-19 to constitute a real threat that might justify action. The standard uses potential harm caused by child abuse material and terrorism. That is thin edge of the wedge stuff. In the normal rule of law world, it is well recognized that threats can be posed by child exploitation and terrorism, but there are fail-safes to ensure the privacy and rights of innocent citizens are not interfered with. To do what the Commission is asking service providers to do for her would, in the rule of law world, require, at the very least, a warrant from a judge, and the warrant would need to be requested by someone with proper training, like a law officer. What we will have under this proposal is employees of tech companies without necessarily any relevant training, using algorithms of variable accuracy to monitor the accounts of millions of users and make ad hoc decisions as to what they may or may not say or do. So for instance, you go on YouTube from Australia and you talk about what's on your mind for the day. It's not illegal. It's your political free speech. You're not calling for violence. You're not shouting fire in a theater where there is none. But apparently, that could be misinformation or disinformation, because only what the government says, only what they say, is not misinformation nor disinformation. Now I'll continue. And I expressed my concerns for this. I literally wrote to them expressing my concerns in the comment period, similar to the ones that had, similar to the comment periods that were open to do with cryptocurrencies and the like. But I'm not sure how many people actually bothered. The standard is administered by the eSafety Commissioner, Julie Inman-Grant, who should know exactly what risks are entailed when the government asks businesses to do its censorship for it, because her immediate previous job was at Twitter, now X, where she set up and drove the company's policy, safety, and philanthropy programs across Australia, New Zealand, and Southeast Asia. As the Twitter files demonstrate, the US government used the platform and other social media companies to vandalize the First Amendment rights of Americans. Ms. Inman-Grant has a progressive attitude to free speech, telling a World Economic Forum seminar that I think we're going to have to think about recalibration of a whole range of human rights that are playing out online, from freedom of speech to the freedom to, be free online from online violence. Perhaps her CV and speaking activity explain why she has got into a major stoush with X, whose CEO she disparages to the Davos crowd. Elon Musk is the new champion of genuine free speech, and his empire comes under her purview. And this is Australia. I'm telling you, I'm getting to the point where I'm no longer proud to be Australian because, of all this bullshit, especially after the lockdowns. Now, moving on. The Commissioner's own research shows only 3% of Australians had a negative experience on Twitter, compared to 30% who said they had on Facebook. It was also fewer than email, SMS, MSM. Websites, Instagram, chat apps, and Snapchat. The Commissioner's own research. Now, there is certainly cause for concern about online child abuse, but surely this is a role for the specialized law enforcement. But in any case, I would think algorithms would be fairly accurate in detecting potential child abuse material. And this is what I pointed out, there's fucking departments of government who deal with this shit. Is their specialty. Why are the governments weaponizing censorship? Terrorism is another matter. We've seen in the United States various stalwart citizens being labeled as potential terrorists because of the church they attend or their position on pornography in schools. In an increasingly polarized world, even the longest established democracies, the political party in power is finding ways to weaponize bureaucracy and through them extract cooperation from corporates to spy on and persecute their opponents. A system where government information is defined as true by legislative fiat would seem to lend itself to the abuse of power by ideologically motivated commissioners. Australia, lacking a free speech guarantee in its constitution, is in a deteriorating position. I agree. This is a position that in the old days, when telling it like it is, was thought of as an Australian virtue, and cocking a snook at authority, a national pastime, would now be seen as un-Australian. That's exactly what it is. It's fucking... Views expressed in this article are opinions of the author and do not necessarily reflect the views of Epoch Times. So, we have freedom of speech here in Australia, and if I want to, I can say I think the politicians are a bunch of fuckheads. And that's my political free speech to say that. In my own house, I'm free to do so. But if I start making videos about this, maybe people hear it, and then it can become more of a concern, because more people hear this. And it appears as if governments do not want you to express yourself online or to spread this misinformation or disinformation because, it's not coming from the government itself. And God forbid an individual who is popular, who is adored by the masses comes about and who people can relate with, who's not a part of the government, because God forbid, the politicians lose their power. Because think about it, the politicians love being famous, everyone loves them, they get special treatment, they get special payments, all this shit. And maybe what they don't want is opposition to that. I don't know. It's very, very strange. It's almost like, the George Carlin comedy, it's like, it's a big club and you ain't in it. Now, I'll leave it there because I've just rambled on and on and on. I could keep going, but I'll just keep going further and further down rabbit holes that don't need to be explored at this point in time. Pulse is doing extremely well. Pulsechain is doing extremely well. INC is doing extremely well. Hex is doing extremely well. I can't wait till we hit fucking all-time highs. Yeah. Be fucking glorious. Because a lot of the shit that I'm seeing is not giving me more freedoms. The only things that are giving me more freedoms is things being, funnily enough, being attacked by governments for whatever reason. Even my free speech is now under attack. I tried to push back. I tried. I hope you did too. But all's not lost. No. I just think we, regardless of where you are sort of stumbling into a communist Chinese model regime. You can ignore it, it's fine. It most likely you won't notice it until you do notice it. One day something will happen and it will just trigger you and you'll be like, hey, that fucking crazy loon bird was right. Why can't I do this? Or why can't I do that? Or why did this happen, Hopefully that was informative and you're able to make sense of what I think about the whole SEC case in relation to the guidance on cryptocurrencies as to, and their, what they are going to do next. It doesn't sound like more freedoms are coming. It sounds like they want, every exchange to be some sort of broker. It sounds like they're going to try and label everything under the sun as security. And so far they're getting away with it unless, there is some pushback by the entire cryptocurrency community space. I can't help but think, regardless of what takes place within three-letter agencies, certain cryptocurrencies is going to pump hard as fuck. And now we've got Bitcoin ETF, so I don't know. Some institutional money's coming in, it's going to save us all apparently, but maybe go to some legacy finance guys for that sort of information. That is about it, and free speech signing out.